Welcome to the Passionate Pioneer podcast. Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm passionate about supporting women who are feeling disillusioned and disappointed with their career and showing them what is possible when you follow your passion. Having your voice heard, finding your tribe of like minds, and being able to get support is so important when you don't know where to turn or who to talk to. I transformed my life from the corporate world to the coaching world, and I now empower women to follow my example and claim the freedom of choice to follow their heart, soul, and passion. So let's get started. Today, I am joined by Catherine Nix. Catherine was in the nursing profession for 15 years until she decided to take back control of her schedule and her life. With 4 small children and her hands already full, she then built a 6-figure marketing business. No small feat with a family to take care of. Let's hear how she decided and why she decided to leave her career to start her own business, and how her passion has grown over time into the dried flower styling company she now owns and runs. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. Welcome.
Nice to meet you. I'm meeting some fabulous women on this podcast. It's like I'm creating a community. It feels really lovely.
Great. Yes, I'm sure there's some really interesting people out there, aren't there? I love talking to people.
Yeah. I was thinking about going live. I mean, I'm re-recording all of these interviews, and I've had about 25 women signed up, 10 already recorded. And it's just been very interesting to hear everybody's unique story. There's lots of overlapping stories of why these women left their career. And I'm sure that our audience will be excited to hear about your story. So you were in the nursing career. So tell us a little bit about that and why you decided to leave.
Yes, I went into nursing. I actually started nursing when I was a teenager, purely because there was a nursing home in the village that I lived in Somerset, and teenagers always looking for Saturday jobs, and it was sort of the easy route in a way. I could walk there, so started working in a nursing home. And I absolutely loved it. And although I looked at different things, when you're leaving school, everyone says, oh, no, nursing's so badly paid. I believe that if it's within you, there's something within you. Actually, the pay doesn't really matter. It's that needing to want to nurse. And I still regard myself as a nurse now, in a way. It's sort of inbuilt. So yes, I went off and did my nurse training, my formal 3 years nurse training, and qualified and went into becoming a staff nurse. I actually decided to specialise in theatres, which I loved for a while, and then went into intensive care and ended up actually finally being a district nurse, which I absolutely loved, meeting people in their own homes, in their own surroundings. I live in a seaside town. I was quite happy trotting around in my car visiting people. And then I fell pregnant. And, the whole world changes, I think, when you suddenly realise you're going to become a mum.
Right.
And I didn't think that I really wanted to go back. I didn't have any family locally. So I actually was able to go back nursing and just work the twilight shift. So I'd work 6 till midnight and then on call through the night as a district nurse, which was great for a while. And then I got a job working as a night sister. So I would work 8 till 8. So I would stay up all day with the, by then I had 2 children, and then I'd work all night and I'd stay up all the next day.
Oh my God, that's exhausting. That's exhausting, Catherine. How did you do that? How did you manage that?
I was a walking zombie, I think. Looking back, we had our 2-hour break during the night as a nurse. So I managed to maybe, sleep in a chair for an hour. But yes, at 8 o'clock the next morning when I finished, I would go home and become mummy, and we'd do whatever we needed to do in the day. And that carried on for a couple of years until I got to the point where I thought, if I go into work tonight, I'm going to crack.
Right.
I'm going to can't do this.
Sounds like a very unhealthy life, unhealthy lifestyle.
But obviously I needed an income. And again, I'm a great believer in the universe and fate. And someone happened to show me, it was actually my sister-in-law, showed me a product, and she said, I'm selling this to some of the mums. It was some educational books. And she said, it's great. I'm sitting at home and having friends around for coffee and making some money. And I thought, I could do that. So it was a sort of, yeah, the universe just came into play. And I thought, I'm going to jump with both feet. My husband was absolutely appalled. And I said, don't worry, I will find a way of replacing that nursing income through doing this.
Right.
And I did.
That's amazing. What a great story. Yeah, you just trusted. It's like following the breadcrumbs. Somebody just pops into your life, or somebody was already in your life and just says, oh, look, what about this? And you're like, oh, it's like the universe sends you signs and signals, people, absolutely, just to nudge you in the right direction. It's what I call following the breadcrumbs. So that's a great story. So then you went on to build, I guess you left your nursing career.
Yes, I left nursing behind. I had 2 children at that point, and I built what I would call a very successful business in network marketing. I think I hit 6-figure turnover at my highest point. I was top seller, top recruiter, because I was a nurse. I didn't have any sales background, but what I had was a passion in the product and a passion in actually sharing with other mums how they could do it too. It was incredible that I could go to somebody's house where they'd grab a load of mums. I'd rock up with the product and 2 children, one under each arm. They'd sit and play with people they'd never met before. So it was great for their socialization skills.
Right. Nice
cup of coffee, a piece of cake. We'd walk out 2 hours later with orders and money in my pocket, and someone, interested in the business opportunity. It was incredible. I loved it. And that's making it sound very easy. It wasn't always, but I was driven by, part of it was, the people who I got to know in the industry told me, you just doubled every year. So that's what I did. Oh, okay. I've got to double, this January what I did last January. I just did it. I found ways of doing it. But I absolutely loved it. Absolutely.
But that's a big transition, isn't it? You see, that's the women I've been speaking to, and that's my own story as well. It's a transition. It's the first step out of that career that's unhealthy. So your husband was obviously, he was a bit frightened, a bit scared. Oh my God, what are we going to do for money? And so but you did it anyway. You felt the fear and you pushed through it and you went to do it. How did you feel at the time when you were making that big transition?
Do you know what? I just think I knew I could do it. Isn't that awful? That there was something inside of me that thought, do you know what? I can do this. But I do think that's my thing in life, that I do believe I can turn my hand to whatever. Yeah. I'm fairly confident of my abilities. And I think a lot of that's to do with building the network marketing. That's given me even more confidence. But if I look back to that point when I jumped, I was just like, no, I'll find a way. Failure is not an option.
Failure is not an option. Yeah, I think that this is women are just capable of so much. We don't know how much we're capable of until we actually step up and try, and step into that unknown and away from the the familiar career, corporate, everything that we've sort of been told to do, or we feel is the right thing to do, you know, rather than feeling into our gut instinct or woman's intuition or soul's intuition or the universe, whatever you want to call it. And following that, you just have no idea what you're capable of. It's amazing, right? And you took the leap of faith, followed that.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, I can't say any more than I just knew failure was an option and I could do it. And I didn't care how hard I had to work, because actually being able to sleep in my own bed every night was bliss.
Right.
And I knew I had to work hard, and I'd put my children to bed every night at 6, and from 6 o'clock till sort of probably 11, I would work on my business, whether it was writing lists of people I needed to contact the next day or ordering stock or whatever it was. So I wasn't afraid of the hard work, but being able to go to sleep in my own bed was wonderful.
And it gives you the freedom, doesn't it? And I think that's, you know, most of the women I've spoken to, it's about digging deeper into what you want to do and what you really want in your life. And you wanted the time, the freedom to spend quality time with your family and your children. And I think that there's sacrifices there, and also the health. You know, you were sacrificing your health by not sleeping enough every night in your career, and then, you know, splitting. There was no work-life balance, and I think that's what we're looking for when we step out of the professions. We're looking for more of a work-life balance and to take back control.
Yeah, yes. And I mean, as I say, some people might say to me, well, why didn't you just put your children into childcare? Because then you could have worked days. But for me, and this is a very personal thing, I just never wanted to give up my children so to somebody else to look after. So working nights was the only way I really had of being able to stay in that career and be with my children. Okay. Which be me.
Yeah, totally understand. And childcare is expensive anyway, right? Childcare is very expensive.
Yes, and
even more so now.
Yeah, I live in quite a rural community, so it wasn't even cost. It was actually finding somewhere that would actually take my children. And we're talking, you know, sort of 20 plus years ago now. You know, it would have been challenging to find somebody. And again, you know, nursing shifts, even if I'd wanted to put them into childcare, you know, often shifts start at 7 a.m. And I would have had probably a 45-minute drive to work and have to put the children into childcare prior to that drive. You know, it just didn't make sense to me. And certainly from a financial point of view, staying in nursing and working days and paying childcare just didn't work financially. Nurses aren't brilliantly paid, as we know. So the nights was the only option. But when someone shows you a possible way out and freedom, and like you say, freedom is incredible. It's so important, I think. Yeah. I jumped at it.
Yeah. I think making my own schedule was one of the biggest joy moments of my life. You know, I can have mornings for myself to do what I need to do, and you know, I can choose the days off. I can choose the times I work.
Yeah.
And I can choose when to take off if I need to go and take a day off. I just, you know, can do it. I think the freedom driver is a big factor. When when you're leaving the corporate or the professional world, you know, it's a big factor, isn't it, to be able to have the freedom to do what you want.
Yeah.
So although you had a 6-figure business and you were doing this marketing, which you loved, that's not what you're doing now. So tell us how you managed to transition, or why you transitioned into what you're doing now.
Won't bore you too much with the details, but went on and I ended up with 4 children, had quite a big gap between number 3 and number 4. Bit of an oops. Which he is absolutely adored by his older brothers and sister. But unfortunately, you know, life changes, doesn't it? The recession of 2008 hit hard. I was in the greetings card industry, and I think there was massive changes in the 2000s, and even mainly in the 2000s, with the way people were communicating. Social media became apparent. I don't know what the stats are on greetings cards now, but I imagine, just from knowing how many cards I send, the cost of a stamp, all those things. So the business itself took a bit of a decline, along with, unfortunately, my marriage. Right. So I ended up with 4 children. The youngest was 2, and my marriage was over. And given that you suddenly have to put a massive amount of energy into caring for 4 children, unfortunately, I lost my home. And so we had to move. And one thing and another, I didn't have the energy to prop up an already declining business.
Right. And that makes sense.
Slowly I couldn't motivate people. I had about 500 or 600 people in my team, which I motivated. It's very hard to motivate others when you are struggling with so many personal issues. So my business basically went over about the space of about 18 months. So I was sat with 4 children in a rented house on housing benefit, and thought, what am I going to do? I've always, I think I've probably just said, failure for me is not an option. I'm very, very determined. And the sitting, wallowing, and just seeing what the state will provide is not something for me.
Yeah.
So I needed to earn some money for Christmas. And I thought, and do you know what, don't ask me why I did this, because I really don't know. Even my mother asked me why I did this, and I don't know. I started making Christmas decorations out of dried fruit. I had the skills. I've always been crafty. I had the skills to be able to create them. I had the outlets where I knew I could do small local events to sell them. I could invite people around to my house, bribe them with a cup of coffee and say, come along and buy your Christmas decorations.
Nice.
I did fantastically well. So came out of Christmas and thought, okay, is there some mileage in this? And obviously from dried fruit, you look to dried flowers. And I actually always had a passion in dried flowers. I had them in my hair for my wedding in 1994. And so always a love of flowers, dried flowers. I'm a country girl by heart, rode ponies as I was growing up, real country girl. So I thought, I'm going to start playing. And I basically taught myself floristry. I had the skills that I knew how to build a business. It's been very, very different. I think in network marketing, I was very much supported. I had the product made for me. I had the catalogue made for me. I had the pricing structure worked out for me. I've had to do all that myself. But I basically built myself a floristry business, but in dried flowers, and started promoting it to people who would like dried flowers, which is actually quite niche.
Right. Isn't that funny, though, that you that passion that you had when you started, you were sitting at home and you just waiting for state money every month and, thinking, what can I do? And, then another nudge comes from the universe. Oh, well, what can I do? Oh, flowers. I like flowers. I like, let's just see what I can do with something, with dried fruit. And then then you follow that and you just keep following it, don't you? And then it turned into, dried flowers. And you'd already, the thing is, you'd already done something. You'd already built a business. So you knew it was possible. So you knew we just have to try.
Absolutely.
Just try something, right?
Yes, and I mean, like I think you've mentioned to me previously, it was slightly therapy as well. There's something very therapeutic about being creative. I now offer workshops for people who want that mindful, creative couple of hours where they turn their phones off and they just sit and immerse themselves. And especially with dried flowers, there was just something that was almost therapeutic to me as well, but also gave me that stimulation of, let's see how far I can push this. What can I do? And going back, this is sort of 5 years ago, dried flowers were seen by the masses as really not in fashion, in vogue. It was something people said, oh yeah, my granny had those in the 80s, sat in the fireplace.
Yeah, the old silk flowers, right? The fake flowers.
That's right. I was met with quite a lot of resistance from people that just sort of went, oh, oh, okay, that's what you're doing now, is it?
Right.
But I knew there would be a small group of people like there is, like myself, who would have a passion for this. So it was finding those people.
Right. I love that you do the workshops.
Oh, I love doing my workshops.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? The creative people, women just want to, I'm sure. Do you get families and children and men and everybody?
I love doing corporate. You can do a corporate event where half of the men are on the course. And nice. I love it. Really into it. It's amazing. So yeah, I absolutely love giving back. It's this whole, nurse in me, isn't it? Wanting to give to people and help people and allow them a space where they can come and just have that mindful time.
Yeah, because I think as women we're just natural nurturers. We I think we've just forgotten, because we have to work, especially in the corporate world. It's a very masculine dominated industry, and I suppose in nursing you've got the doctors. Most of the doctors are men, aren't they? And the nurses are women, right? So it's changing slightly, but it's still most industries are quite male dominated. But yes, the creativity, taking that into the corporate world, that's very interesting. I like that. I mean, I've been to painting classes, very therapeutic. I have now got an adult coloring book. Actually, it was my mom that said she'd got an adult coloring book, and I thought, oh, I could try that. So I bought some colored pencils and a coloring book, and every now and again I just sit and clear my mind and start coloring in. It's just like magic. It's like being a child. It's wonderful.
It's incredible. And that's what I get with my flowers, that total immersion of when I'm creating a wreath. I just lose myself in the colors and the textures and it coming together. And yes, I love it. So to be able to offer that to other people, is incredible for me.
I think that's, as adults, we're missing that, aren't we? That playfulness. We've forgotten how to play. We've forgotten about colors and just silly things that make us laugh, or just make us use our imagination. I was going to say creativity, but it's to use our imagination, isn't it? When I'm coloring, I'm like, oh, what color can I use? And I've just got like 3 or 4 different colors going on at the same time. I'm sure when you're putting your flower arrangements together, it's the same. You just get inspiration. What color can I put with this, or what looks good?
Yes. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have it in my head. I'll have created something in my head and I have to just go and do it. Nothing else matters. I have to get that vision in my head and get it out there. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But yes, I love just putting colours together or texture. And I think I've got to get that down in real life.
Yeah, that's life though, isn't it, really? Trial and error. We're just going through life, trial and error. Nobody's got it together. Everybody's just trying something different and going with the flow, up and down. It's not you every day is different, and that's the journey that we call life. That's why we're that's why
right.
we're here. I have a question for you, actually. In your opinion, why are we as females afraid to step up and follow our passion?
Oh, I mean, I think sometimes it's got, I mean, I'm talking very personally now, it's got a lot to do with responsibility to others. I feel a lot, you know, if I look at my life, you know, I've been doing a lot of work, and I realize now that actually sometimes it's beneficial to put ourselves first, but I think a lot of the time we don't put ourselves first. And so therefore, we can't follow that passion, because actually that will have a detrimental effect on my children, my husband, family life, whatever. A bit like when I decided to make the jump from nursing. I don't know why I was brave enough at that point to do it. I think I was actually desperate. I was so tired, and I think I'd hit that absolute wall to make that leap. But I think a lot of the time it's just that real sense of responsibility that we have.
Unfortunately, I think that's it's a story that's just stuck in our conscious, isn't it? And in the collective conscious, going back through our ancestors, you know, grandmothers, great grandmothers, you know, we were always the ones to take care of the family.
Yeah,
but and actually be responsible for everything. So, you know.
But I'm learning now that I need to take care of myself first to be able to be of great help to people around me. So actually that whole passion bit, if I'm not fulfilling my passion in a way, I'm not the best person that I can be for my family.
Right. I love that. Yeah, that's just that's a great way to summarize it. Yeah. I think that, you know, we do not take care of ourselves properly, period. You know, most of the women I speak to, a few of them are now coaches, health coaches, because they realized that, you know, how unhealthy their profession was. When they looked around them, you know, the other women were very unhealthy as well. It was all work, and they just forgot about themselves. And I think it's so important that we come back to this, and we come back to self-care. It should be the number one thing, because like you said, if you're not filling up your own cup, you're giving from an empty cup, basically. And it's very difficult to keep giving from an empty cup. You're just depleting yourself without refilling your energy.
Absolutely. So for me, passion with what I do now in my life is very, very important, because it allows me to be a better person, certainly.
Yeah.
For my partner. Yeah.
When you left the nursing career to go and to make this radical transition, did you rely on friends or family? Do you think they're a good source of advice, or did you have a mentor or a coach or someone that you spoke to before you took the leap of faith?
No, I don't think I'd really knew about mentoring or coaching in those sort of days, really. Do you know, I'm trying to even think whether I consulted anybody, and actually I don't think I did, because I actually don't even think I told my husband. I think that was one of the reasons he was so cross. He just came home from work one day and I said, I'm not going to work tonight. And it wasn't that I wasn't going to work. I couldn't. I think if I'd gone in that night, I just hit that wall. I was concerned about my mental health.
Right.
I actually didn't talk to anybody. And I think sometimes there's value in talking to family. I think sometimes do they tell you what they want you to hear? Right. I think there's sometimes, and also sometimes I think family want to keep you safe.
Absolutely.
Don't protect you. So you're not always going to get the answer that's maybe right, because they're looking at it from a point of keeping you safe, and keeping you safe is keeping you where you are at the moment. Sometimes don't don't stray over there because it's not safe, you know. I mean, it's like a network marketing sometimes has a really bad name here in the UK, from being sort of pyramid selling and all that sort of thing. So again, there was a lot of resistance sometimes from people if they said, you know, I'm going to go and do a network marketing business. Oh no, that's not safe. So I don't think sometimes that our families are the best people. I don't think you should ignore them totally, especially if you're in a close relationship with somebody. I now love working with coaches. I think you've got to find the right coach for you, the right mentor for you. Certainly, someone that gets you. But yes, I've had some amazing coaches in my time.
Yes, somebody that gets you is absolutely right. Somebody that's, you know, I don't know whether it's the qualifications or experience or a little mix of both, you know, definitely their reputation, but somebody that has, you know, that understands you and has had that, has walked in your shoes, basically.
Yes.
That can help you to take the next level. So 20 years ago, when you made this leap of faith, I would call you a pioneer, Catherine.
I don't know what I would have called myself at that time, really.
Right.
Yes, I think I don't know where it comes from. I think it's inbuilt in me that I just seem to know what to do and where to go. And even within the network marketing industry and even within the company I was in, I think I was well respected for sort of, yes, leading the way and not just telling people what to do, but actually saying, come with me. I'm on this journey. Right. I'm doing well, you know, because I love that. I don't like standing up and telling people what to do. I always believe that in life, you should only tell people what to do if you've done it yourself or you're prepared to do it yourself. So I love this. Come with me on this journey. But yes, I was and have done things in the past in my business that I would say are slightly different and have worked.
Right.
Yeah.
It is about finding your own path, isn't it? Because for what works for one person does not work for everybody. This is what I find sometimes with social media, and there's a lot of coaches. They're very good, don't get me wrong, but you know, you've got to find the right person for you that matches you, that's walked in your shoes. It's very important because it does feel unsafe. Right? It does feel a little bit unsafe when you're making that transition and you want to have somebody on your side that's already done that.
Yes. Or if they haven't done it, they talk you through the scenario to make sure that you're somehow making the right decisions. Because I think when I've done things, there's some things that I've done that no one had tried before. And it was like, am I just really nuts at doing this? Or, you know, is this a risk that is worth taking?
Yeah. It's what did Brené Brown wrote the book Daring Greatly, you know, dare to be different, dare to step into, you know, your own unique, authentic self.
Yes. And I think it's really interesting when you look at network marketing, because obviously I was in a company where everyone was selling exactly the same product. So what was the difference between someone who was earning £20 a month and someone who was earning, you know, £5,000-10,000 a month? A lot of it, I believe, was down to, and my success was down to me and my personality. Yes. The way I am totally unique. There is only one Catherine Nix. You either love me or hate me. But I love that people what is it? What I always used to say, people don't just buy the product, they buy the person behind the product.
Of course. Oh my goodness me, that you couldn't have said that better, Catherine. Honestly, it isn't. There's 1,000 coaches doing the same thing. So which one do you choose? You choose the one that resonates with you, the person. People by people, not necessarily products.
That's why people come on my workshops to learn my dried flowers, because they get me in all my craziness, and my life is totally manic, and I've always got a story to tell, and they love it, and that's me. And people who like that are going to come on my course. If they want someone a bit more, should we say, sedate, and very matter of fact, and this is what we're going to do today, whereas I just go off at a total tangent, and my workshops always end up running an hour over.
Right. That's great though. You can obviously have a passion for what you do. I can hear it in your voice, and the way that you've told your story today. It's I can see that you've got that tenacity, determination, and you like to be different. It always, when I say to women, some of my clients, just look at your fingerprint. There's only one of you in the whole world. You've got a unique fingerprint, and that just blows my mind. That
I think it blows my mind as well. It is just amazing, and we've all got so many unique talents and skills, and I love people. I love people, and I think everybody is unique, and everyone has something to offer, and be really proud of who they are.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the final question I have. Was any more nuggets of gold to offer the women listening today, about why they should take the leap of faith to follow their passion?
Oh my goodness, I sort of have so many nuggets, but we've only got I could talk for ages. I mean, I think my biggest thing is, well, a couple of things. Always trust your gut. Mine doesn't let me down. And there's lots of scientific evidence, isn't there, now, about how our brains work and how our systems work. I just call it my gut instinct. What is my gut telling me to do? I think, what was it? I heard someone say this week, how many hours on average we have. Not how many hours, how many weeks we have on average in our life.
Oh, that's scary, isn't it? That's a scary number.
It's scary. Don't waste a minute of them. Do not waste a. If I could say to people, whatever it is in your life, whether it is the job you're in, whether it's the relationship you're in, whatever, if it's not 100% right, then don't settle for less than 100%. Yeah. Change it. Have the confidence. Yes, it's terrifying. It's scary as hell. But do you know what? You come out the other side a better person, and just live the life that you want. It's so important. It's so important.
Amazing.
It makes me cry when I think of people that are stuck.
Yeah.
And don't be stuck. Don't be scared. You have it in you to do whatever you want to do, to be whoever you want to be. And just do it.
Oh, you're making me cry now. It is, isn't it? You can see it's I don't like to see that either. This is one of the reasons why I started this podcast, Catherine, because I want you to, women to tell their stories, to inspire these women that are stuck in situations and they feel that they can't get out. But life is too short. Life is so short. Do what you love to do. Find the partner that is right for you. If it's not the one for you, then time is too short to spend time trying to change them. You're never going to change another person, right? Change yourself first.
Be true to yourself, I think, is the thing. It's very easy sometimes to play a role, and you need to actually think, is this really me? Is this really me?
Yeah.
And just be yourself and live the life that you really want to lead, and your life will be more abundant than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, what a wonderful conversation today, Catherine. And we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for coming to and joining us today.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks again. Thanks for listening today. If you would like to join me in telling your story about how you are quietly quitting your career and how you've got one foot out of the 9-to-5 rat race, or if you are a woman who has a story about already leaving the professional world to follow your passion and can offer inspiring advice, then please message me to get yourself booked in on an episode just for you. If you have a question for me or would like to know more information about how I can support you in one of my passion programs, please message me on Instagram, Facebook, or visit my website. You can also grab your free copy of my workbook, Your Passion Journey Starts Here, by joining my online community. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this podcast and share it with your friends. Until next time, this is Beth Taylor at the Passionate Pioneer Podcast, signing off.